Hi guys! Happy April. On April 22nd, it's Earth Day, and I just thought maybe we should do a focus on Earth Week this week. So I'm sitting here in the middle of a forest listening to woodpeckers and birds and just appreciating nature. Forest fires are one thing that can have a very devastating effect on nature and the environment. Sometimes they happen naturally from things like lightning hitting, and other times it's because of humans and people throwing cigarette butts on the ground, not being careful where they leave their campfires, that sort of thing. So we're going to look at some of those numbers and add and subtract to figure out some real everyday math.
Water is a very valuable resource. It's important to all life on Earth. We use it to grow crops, feed animals, drink, clean, and even for transportation. We have a duty to take care of it.
Canada's lucky that we have lots of lakes, rivers, and oceans surrounding us. Canada is surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Arctic Ocean. Those are all salt water, but our lakes, like the Great Lakes, are all freshwater. So we have the largest waterfall in Canada is actually not Niagara Falls. It is Della Falls in British Columbia. It's 440 meters tall. The longest river is Mackenzie River in the Northwest Territories, and it runs 4,241 kilometers. That's pretty long. It is our longest river in Canada, and Great Slave Lake, also in Northwest Territories, is our deepest lake. And that lake goes to 614 meters deep. Every year, Canadians produce 3.3 million tons of plastic waste. Things like clamshells, bottles, straws, plastic bags, wrappers, Ziploc bags, and of that, 2.8 million tons ends up in the landfill. To stop things from ending up in the landfill, we can recycle.
Hi, everyone. Today we're going to be practicing our 4-digit addition and subtraction. The important thing is that you watch the video as you're doing right now, and you can submit your answers on this Google Docs by just typing them in. You are going to want some scrap paper to work through your answers, since it is actually way easier to write this out on the paper and then just record your answer here. So we're going to do this first one together, and it says, in 2018, British Columbia had 2,115 forest fires. It was a really bad year for fires. In the same year, Ontario had 1,327 forest fires. How many more forest fires happened in British Columbia? So the important thing here is we need to look at the question. And the question says, how many more forest fires happened in British Columbia? So I'm going to highlight that. And I'm looking for the words that tell me what I'm supposed to do. So how many more? Those are usually words that mean subtract. So then I'm going to look for my numbers that I need. In 2018, I actually don't need that number. That's just a year. British Columbia had 2,115 forest fires. So I'm going to highlight that number so I can find it easily. It was a really bad year for fires. I don't need that to answer my question. In the same year, Ontario had 1,327 forest fires. I am going to need that because I need to find the difference. I need to find how many more forest fires happened in British Columbia. So when we do subtraction, we need to put the bigger number on top. So I'm going to go over here to my virtual whiteboard. Now, hopefully you have scrap paper in front of you. And I'm going to write my bigger number on top. And I'm going to make sure that I line them up properly. So I have 2,115. And I have to make sure that my ones are under my ones when I'm doing my next number. So I have 1,320 7. Now, if you remember, it said how many more. So that means we're going to subtract because we want to find the difference. You'll notice my ones are right on top of each other, my tens are right on top of each other, my hundreds are right on top of each other, and my thousands. So now I'm just going to change the color so you can see what I'm doing. I have to do 5 take away 7. So if I have 5, I actually can't take 7 from it. So what do we need to do? Did you say borrow? Yes, we need to borrow from its neighbor to the left in the tens column. So I'm going to cross that out, make that a 0, and add a 1 beside the 5 to make 15. Now I can do 15 take away 7, which is 8. Correct. Now I'm going to move to the tens column. 0 take away 2, can I do it? Nope, can't do that. So again, I need to borrow from the neighbor to the left. So I'm going to cross out the number in the hundreds column, make it a 0, move the 1 over here, and now I've got 10. So 10 take away 2 I can do. What's 10 take away 2? 8, correct. So we're going to write an 8. Now I have 0 take away 3. Can I do that? Nope. So what do I need to do? Borrow. Borrow from the number to the left. So I'm borrowing from the thousands column. That becomes a 1. I move that 1 over here. Now I've got 10 take away 3. What is 10 take away 3? 7, correct. And then I've got 1 take away 1, which is 0. You don't have to put the 0 there. You can if you want to. It doesn't really make a difference. So the answer is 788. So I'm going to go back to my doc here, and I'm going to type in 2,115 take away 1,327 equals 788. I'm going to put it in a sentence form. There were 788 more forest fires in British Columbia than in Ontario. Capital O because it is a proper noun. So just going to double check that that makes sense. Does it make sense that 788 plus 1,327? All right, so now that we're done the first question, let's have a look at the rest of the questions. You need to be very careful that you're looking at the actual question and trying to figure out what it says. So when we say in total, that generally means you're not going to add it. Some of them, you're going to need the information from the previous question to answer that. If it says how many more, you're looking for the difference. And if you're looking for the difference between two numbers, you want to subtract. How much taller? So you're again looking for the difference. So read those very questions. How much farther? That's a difference question. Here, there's a new word, tributaries, and it just means all the little rivers that come off a bigger river. So don't be thrown by the vocabulary, just try to focus on the math. I've tried to explain what that vocabulary means. These are all Canadian places. These are all Canadian facts. So don't forget to submit this to me after. Take care. Actually, there is one more thing I wanted to show you, and down the bottom here, we can simplify a question to make it much easier for us. So Canadians make 3.3 million tons of plastic waste per year. 2.8 million tons of that ends up in a landfill. How much plastic waste does not end up in the landfill? So I'm going to show you something a little bit different because I don't want to do this question for you. But 3.3 million tons and 2.8 million tons, if we just ignore the million tons for a minute, we can look at the numbers 3.3 and 2.8. So over here, I'm just going to make up two-digit numbers. So 4, let's say 0.6, that's a decimal. Take away 2.3. So just like we did before, make sure that your numbers are lined up on top of each other. So these are the decimals, they're going to line up. The tenths in the tenths column are going to line up, and the numbers in the ones column are going to line up. And then you just drop the decimal, and do it as you would before. So 6 take away 3 is 3, and 4 take away 2 is 2. If you needed to borrow, you would borrow to the left, just like you did before. The only difference here is that we're dealing with a decimal. Just make sure your decimal's lined up and it will be just the same as the other one. I did get these statistics from the National Forestry Database for the forest fires above, so they're real. If you wanted to check out more forest fire information, you can click on that link. If not, up here there should be a button on yours that says turn in, so you can just turn this in when you're done. Have an awesome week.